Oh god, the lighting is horrible. Oh god, everybody forgive me. Fixing this on the fly, baby. It's how we do it in the Metro household. Boom! Last Son Returns. SooSoo Toys. Belt buckle Superman, baby. Here he is. There he is. In the box. Maybe not in the box. He might already be out of the box. You know he's out of the box if you watched my figure unboxing short. Anyway, here's the box. Here's a pretty nice picture. He looks a lot smaller in this picture than he does as a figure. And we'll talk about that. He's a normal sized man here. SooSoo Toys, Last Son Returns. Spin her around. Spin her around. Oopsies. I put the back on backwards. Flip your head upside down and you can read that one. Spin her around. Spin her around. Not much to say about this box. It's a box. And it has a figure, or it might not have a figure inside. It's up to you to find out. Anyway, let's get this guy out of the box and onto the spinny doodad. So, anyway, here he is, the SooSoo Toys Last Son Returns. Now, I'll be the first person to admit, I'm not a huge Superman fan. I think Superman is not as good as some other superheroes. He's had his moments where I'm like, yeah, that works. The Death and Return of Superman is kind of cool. I'm bored of evil Superman because it's so overdone. But I didn't get this guy for Superman. I got this because, and I'm gonna say it right now. There's a Hallmark movie called The 9 Lives of Christmas, which is my mother's favorite movie. And in that movie, he's a firefighter who falls in love with a girl coming back to her farm town, and it's about cats. He's a firefighter and he finds a cat. And obviously it was Brandon Ruth. And so when I saw this, I showed my mom and I was like, oh look, it's that guy from that cat movie. And that's how he ended up on my shelf. And I'm gonna be honest, I actually genuinely love the way this looks. Every time I'm looking at my shelf and I'm looking at the DC shelf, this is they're always the first thing I look at. I think I'm always impressed by it. So I've decided, let me talk about why I love this guy. So let's get him off the spinny and let's get him onto the talkie. So being someone who has seen Brandon Ruth fairly recently, since there was a sequel to The 9 Lives of Christmas, I can't remember what it was called, Going Up, that came out, I can tell you this definitely does look like him. This is a really good head sculpt from not Hot Toys, SooSoo Toys. They have their good moments and they have their bad. And when they're bad, they're really bad. But when they're good, they're really good. And this one is pretty good. He definitely looks like Brandon Ruth. I'm dying. Now, when we get to the body, it's a bit of a different story. Because he is big. He's like really big. I think he's considerably bigger than he was supposed to be. And SooSoo Toys makes some heavy bodies. And I'm not quite sure why. If you have the Boss Man 1.0 or 2.0, the 2.0 is very heavy. I don't know if they're putting like weight in there or weights, but it's heavy. But the Superman logo on there, despite it being, this is from him in the CW, so it's not the Superman Returns one. It's a later CW one. So it's more of like a Kingdom Come style Superman logo, which looks really good, I will say. Especially with all the other Superman coming out, because we got the BVS InArt Superman, and I think InArt's also making a Christopher Reeve. So having one like this will stand out a lot more because this logo, people will be like, "Why is the logo black?" But even this little like hexagonal texturing on the suit is really good. It feels nice. The suit feels really nice. It does get caught in the joints a little bit, but as long as you pose him properly, it's fine. He's got these cute little shorts, which I guess are better than the underwear he usually wears. The one thing that really confuses me is this belt buckle. This belt and a big belt buckle here. That's the one thing that's been confusing me. Where I look at that and I'm like, forget his pants are a little loose, I guess, because the trunks here have the loops for the belt. So he's like, it's a part of the outfit, but it's really weird. Moving down, the legs are the same texture as the suit, but notice how the red breaks up the blue. The thing that the BVS suit is kind of lacking. There's no breakup of the blue, so it all looks really weird. Legs are the same material, and then coming down to the boots and looking at the stand that is actually the right stand this time, unlike the Moon Knight one where I embarrassed myself by showing off that I was using the Captain America one. The boots look really good, other than the fact that they are scrunched up and I cannot unscrunch them. The ankle moves perfectly fine, but that scrunching is really annoying. It's kind of like any of the Hot Toy Star Wars figures, like Han or Tarkin or all of those, with that single boot design that I'm not a huge fan of. Count Dooku, there's a bunch of those. Luke from Mandalorian. I don't know why they keep doing it. Just make it plastic and split cut. But other than that, boots are great. Boots look great. Something just fell in my room. It's always worrying when I hear something fall in my room because I couldn't tell you what it is. Moving up, let's talk about the cape real quick. So the cape is the only thing that looks kind of weird because of the way it's tucked in here. And it doesn't drape all that properly. I guess it does. You just need to finagle it. It's very stretchy material. I don't like the way it like curls around him. I think there's other capes that are much better at this. But all in all, pretty good. Now let's finish talking about him and start talking about how he bends. I spent some time looking for what fell, and I genuinely cannot figure it out, so that's worrisome. It's probably the most expensive thing I might have in my room, and it just fell onto the floor, and it's lost forever. Oh well, we'll figure it out. Anyway, head looks up that far. Actually, it's got something pretty good up. It looks down that far, and he can kill himself with a 360. The arm moves out that far. It moves up that far, and it moves back that far. And it's got a single jointed elbow there. That, or it's just this muscle is so big that it's blocking a double joint. You can kind of see there if you saw that. The material getting caught in the cape. Not the cape, the suit. So he doesn't crunch. His abs are solid. Let's get him off of the display stand for a second here. So his leg goes up that far. It doesn't go back at all, actually. And his knee bends really nicely. Now make sure when you fold it back, you don't fold it with that material getting stuck in there like that. And then he's got some sweet ankle pivot. I think when I got this guy, one of his ankles was not plugged in. But it's an easy fix. I think if I remember correctly, the boots actually the boots just come off. So theoretically, if you have the willpower to do it, you can unscrunch these boots. But I don't. So this guy doesn't articulate great. But I'm not looking for a power poser here. This guy is not a Spider-Man or a somebody else who poses really dynamically. It's Superman. You all want him in the pose, so it doesn't matter. Anyway, let's talk about some final thoughts here. And we'll bring out his little friend. Actually, no, we're not doing that yet. We're going to bring out his bigger friend because we still haven't done comparisons. That I know, Fel. I watched it. So for our first comparison, Superman and Superman. So, one is slightly taller than the other because he's on a stand because he doesn't stand very well. But if you wanted like a height thing, that's about where they would be. So they're about equal. This is the only other Superman I have. And I don't hate this guy, but seeing the classic color scheme, it makes me I love the one more. I'm hoping the BVS one is definitely better because the black looks cool. But it's a snooze fest. Like he just fell asleep there. Like it's shiny. It looks nice. God, Brandon Ruth just looks so much bigger than this guy. SooSoo Toys made this guy huge. But yeah, this guy, they look great next to each other. They're both definitely Superman. But one just stands out a lot more than the other. The black is really kind of dull. And even with the regular blue and red, it's still kind of dull because it's a darker color. Let me see if I have anybody else to compare this guy to. Let's compare him to the other SooSoo Toys DC figure I have. So here he is next to the SooSoo Toys Tactician or Bloodsport. And he is drastically here. Let me turn this so you can see like width. He is huge compared to this guy. And this figure is already kind of small. They made the figure a bit smaller than it needed to be. But man, he is huge compared to this guy. Now I have the hiccups. Just goes to show what happens when you play Superman versus when you play Deadshot. I don't really have anybody else to compare this guy to. So those are your two comparisons. Moving on. Now we can bring out his little feline friend and talk about him in a wrap up. So if you've seen my unboxing video, you'll know that I pose him with a cat. And this is the cat, obviously, in reference to the 9 Lives of Christmas, which if you haven't watched, you shouldn't. It's a waste of your time. The cat is the goose from the Captain Marvel figure, I think only with the deluxe, which somewhat resembles a cat. So I've given it to him because it is the same kind of cat as the cat Ambrose from the 9 Lives of Christmas. And you can see, this is how I have him posed on my shelf normally. And he may be in the back because he's on a flight stand and he can rise above everyone else. But it doesn't mean I don't look at him the most. Because, man, he's a good figure. SooSoo Toys, they may have just made a really bad Homelander. But man, they made a really good Superman in a redemption to the Superman Returns Superman. If you were planning on picking this up, I think some places still have him available. And if you can find him, he's pretty good. He's pretty worthwhile. Some of these SooSoo Toys CW characters have been pretty good so far. SooSoo Toys has, other than Bloodsport having some issues, hasn't disappointed me just yet. We'll get there. We'll get there. Don't you worry. Everyone disappoints in the end. Not me. Not me. I've never disappointed in my life. But anyway, if you were looking to pick this guy up, absolutely do that. Make sure to get a cat for him, and send me pictures of your Superman posed with cats, so I know you're a part of the club. You're part of the secret Superman with Cat Society. With that out of the way, if you enjoyed this video of me talking about a Superman figure from probably like a year and a half ago to 2 years, make sure to subscribe and watch more of my videos because that would be awesome. Make me feel really good about myself. And with that out of the way, I've been me, and you've been you. And something, the best we can do.